she said, "This will never be spoken of again. And if it is, nobody will believe you and nobody will care." Because we were the throwaways and because they were the Roman Catholic Church and they had all the power.
A very dark chapter in Buffalo's history is now being seen in a new light. An upcoming novel by a New York Times best-selling author is based on the real-life suffering endured by the girls inside the now-closed Magdalen Laundry on Buffalo's East Side.
A local survivor is telling her story and seeking justice in court in this Two on Your Side original with investigative reporter Charlie Specht.
Rarely do you hear the kind of horror like Diana O'Hara endured as a 12-year-old girl at Our Lady of Charity Refuge in Buffalo in 1964.
I say I was locked in the dungeon, but that's the day my dreams all died.
These buildings on Best Street on Buffalo's East Side are now a school for Islamic studies. But for decades, they housed what's known as a Magdalen Laundry for so-called wayward girls, the kind of people society wanted to forget.
Because we were the throwaways and because they were the Roman Catholic Church and they had all the power.
Promotional materials described it as a school for troubled teens, the first of more than 100 across the U.S. based on a model popular in Ireland. Some of the girls had unplanned pregnancies. Others, like Diana, were sent here by Erie County Social Services because their mothers struggled with addiction.
The gate would creak open very slowly because a nun was pushing a button inside that window.
An estimated 17,000 young women cycled through, working without pay in stifling heat, operating heavy laundry equipment for religious institutions, businesses, and hotels, forbidden from speaking unless spoken to by the nuns.
And there was a sink and a shower over here, and then a cement slab. And you would be locked up in there.
Diana remembers the night she spent in a room she called the dungeon, sent there for speaking out of turn.
I could hear the scurrying of feet because the rats were coming out. So I had my feet up on this slab, holding onto my legs like this because I didn't want the rats to touch my feet.
A lawsuit she and another survivor filed in state Supreme Court describes sexual abuse at the hands of a doctor who made a joke about whether 12-year-old Diane was a virgin.
And when he said, "Take your clothes off," I was horrified, like, you don't do that. You just, oh.
Diane attempted suicide, and she was sent to another Magdalen Laundry in Albany, where she tried to report the abuses to a social worker.
And she said, "This will never be spoken of again. And if it is, nobody will believe you and nobody will care."
But many people do care what happened here at Best Street. For years, Diane O'Hara ran a Facebook group dedicated to victims of Magdalen Laundries. Those stories are now recounted in a new novel by a New York Times best-selling author.
I'm so proud that there are survivors like Diana who finally are, kind of reclaiming their voice about this.
Author Susan Wiggs grew up in Olean, and on a recent trip back, she remembered the influence of the church in this region.
My older brother mentioned that we had a babysitter who went away. And back in the 60s, when a girl was sent away, it usually only meant one thing. She had an unplanned pregnancy.
Like Diana, the fictional characters in Wayward Girls are silenced by shame, but ultimately find strength through solidarity and continue their fight after the passage of the Child Victims Act. Wiggs sent Diana this package last week to mark the book's release. She also dedicated it to Diana and survivors like her, who continue their fight for justice in the courtroom and in the court of public opinion.
Hidden history, when it's ugly, needs to be revealed. It needs to be shown. Otherwise, we're all going to sit here and flame suffering, the flames of suffering, and never extinguish it. But if we talk about it, we can put up roadblocks so that it never happens again.
Now, a spokesman for the Diocese of Buffalo said in a statement that the facility was not under the control or authority of the diocese, and because of that, the diocese has no records pertaining to it. An attorney for the Sisters of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd released a statement saying They take Ms. O'Hara's allegations concerning the conduct of an unnamed and unidentified physician that occurred more than a half-century ago very seriously and have been looking into obtaining any information still available in an effort to determine whether they have any merit. We should also say here that this facility stopped being a home for so-called wayward girls in 1965 and then became a state juvenile detention facility. It is now a school of Islamic studies.